Hey guys, it's Courtney, and this is my student portfolio project. My placement is at Williamson High School in Williamson, Michigan, about 20 minutes from East Lansing. Specifically, I work in a freshman biology class. This class is also special because the students are a part of an advanced program known as the Math and Science Academy. All students in this program apply for a position at the end of 8th grade and are accepted if they show a certain affinity for math and science. My focus student, who I will refer to as Jake, is a tall, brown-haired 13-year-old. He enjoys playing his Nintendo DS and talking to the students sitting next to him, or the boys behind him. Jake has Asperger's syndrome, and as a result, also an emotional impairment. So, some quick facts about Asperger's. Some of the common signs are delays in development of basic skills, like communicating, socializing, and using imagination, as well as repetitive behaviors, unusual rituals, and a limited range of interests. As many also know, Asperger's is related to autism, but there are some slight differences. Specifically, those with Asperger's function more normally than those with autism. To help him throughout the day, Jake has a paraprofessional that is with him. He isn't constantly hovering around, though. The paraprofessional that works with Jake will come in and out of the classroom and will only intervene when necessary. For example, if Jake becomes bored during a lesson, he might pull out his Nintendo DS and start playing it. This is when the parapro will come up to him and quietly tell him to put it away. Or he just makes eye contact with him from across the room. Also, in order to keep Jake comfortable in school, the staff follows several strategies that can be found in his CA60 form. These include offering Jake choices, providing prior notice of changes. This is because he has a hard time with any change to a daily routine. Pre-teaching of expectations and his role for group activities, as well as adult support to assist with peer interactions and/or interpretation of peer interactions. The ideas for my accommodations came mainly from my mentor teacher as well as Jake's paraprofessional. Both told me how Jake doesn't enjoy lectures. It is when Jake is being lectured that he stops listening and might pull out his Nintendo DS or start staring off into space. Also, he struggles with reading comprehension, especially in English class because of the emotional connections that books normally spark. Although lecturing doesn't work for Jake and reading comprehension is sometimes hard for him, any form of interactive lesson sparks his interest. He pays attention much more when he's involved. As a result, my two accommodations included making the lesson as interactive as possible by minimizing lecture time. Also, I wanted to put in some form of reading into the lesson to help out with his struggling of reading comprehension. My lesson was on malaria and the life cycle of the protist that causes malaria. To start, I began the lesson with a game in which half the class was mosquitoes and the other half was humans. One mosquito was infected with malaria. I chose this mosquito to be Jake, and would start the game by infecting a human. That same mosquito could go on to infect other humans, and the original human that was infected could then go on to infect other mosquitoes. That was my first accommodation. I thought that by starting the lesson out in a way that got the class involved would invoke their interest, especially Jake's. After doing the game 2 times, I lectured the class for about 10 to 15 minutes by drawing and explaining a diagram of the malaria protist. After lecturing, I handed out case studies with questions to answer once they were finished reading them. Since the reading was clinically based, there was no emotional connection for Jake to get confused or stuck on, so I thought it was the perfect way to implement a reading. Overall, my lesson went very well. Jake showed a lot of interest. He enjoyed being the original mosquito that was infected and wouldn't stop talking about it all class. Jake did, however, zone out during lecture, which is what I expected, though. But I think that me cutting down the time I spent talking to the class was good, since he couldn't spend the entire class period zoned out. Last, and what surprised me the most, was that Jake thoroughly enjoyed the case study. He and his partner were one of the first to finish, and as soon as I asked the class if they wanted to share their answers, he was the first to raise his hand. I've never seen him actually participate in class like that all year. Up until this point, I don't think that I've been 100% aware of the fact that so many different learners will be in the classes that I teach. This project made me very aware of that, as well as reminding me that not everything that works for some students will work for others. Going off of that, by changing up your lessons every once in a while and accommodating for different students, I learned that you can actually help a handful of students out without even realizing it.